What's up, War Room? Welcome back. Day before 4th of July drop. Rumors of a potential film room in the back half of the week, maybe. If not this week, next week. Want you to enjoy your holidays with as much content as possible as training camp inches closer. We got a bunch of questions we're going to answer. We're fresh off a nice long pod yesterday where we got to talk about Calvin Pace and Brian Thomas and Jeremy Curley and also talk about much more current events. CR, how you doing? How you feeling? Where you going for 4th of July? Jersey Shore guy. Nowhere.
No, which is so this is a new trend. We now go down the shore the week after, usually.
Veteran play.
It is. I love 4th of July. It is one of my favorite holidays. This is our first 4th of July in our house. So we kind of want to see what's going on around here in our neighborhood. We like a lot of our neighbors and have gotten friendly with them and just kind of see what's going on around here. So we're going to stay in New York, which is a little odd for us, but man, you know you're getting old when you just look at it down the shore. It's a shit show, man. And it's not just
Parker House days are over.
That's the thing. The places you love to go are 3 times as packed, and the lines just suck. And then also, you just sit in the car for so damn long to get out there, or unless you leave in the middle of the night, which is possible. Me and my wife don't have kids, so like we could do the middle of the night thing. But we're gonna enjoy a full week down the shore in July to see my parents and. It'll be really nice. Are you keeping it local or are you guys going somewhere?
We will be in the Cape, surrounded by
lovely
bunch of New England folk.
The Cape is very
nice. The Cape is very nice. It's I've warmed up to it. Very chill. We'll just be with my kids and their cousins and my in-laws and nothing too crazy. We have a baby that's due July 29th. So my wife is very mobile at the moment. And I'm still explaining to her why I have to be in New York on August 23rd for this live show here. But duty calls. And listen, that daughter's got to eat, right? Got to get her some clothes. So
there is a weird part of your adulthood that you transform into where you get irrationally excited about the thought of being home.
Oh, yeah.
At a time when you're like your body's conditioned not to be. I feel like that on any given weekend now. When I'm like, wait, we're home this weekend. Like we really don't have to do anything. It is, especially, this season. I don't think I've said this anywhere, and this is War Room. So it's like always, you could always pull the curtain back a little differently. Yep. I of course am signed back to do Jets pre and post game, which I adore and I can't wait to do. But I will also be involved in NBC's College Countdown show every Saturday, which is awesome.
On the road.
I think I'll get to stay in studio most of the time because it would be tough to get back for Jets, but good. I mean, in the best way possible. Goodbye weekends starting in August. Like they don't exist anymore from August all the way through December. So this is really the time to kick back and enjoy this and appreciate it.
You're a 7-day-a-week podcaster. It's rare to find in the industry.
I actually really am. I don't know if thank God I love it. I'll say that. Thank God I truly love it, because if I had to do something I didn't love, 7-day work week, credit to anybody that's able to do that.
All right, let's dig into a couple of these. We got this one. Since we're on the topic of top Jet plays, shout out to Paul and Jake for a great episode topic. Which play in the 2010 playoff win against the Patriots was most important? The Harris interception or the Cotchery catch and run at the start of the fourth quarter? Both plays stopped New England's momentum, and without them, you could argue the Jets lose that game. I'll say these are the right 2 plays to pick because they were the 2 most important plays in the game. Not as flashy as the Holmes touchdown, the Braylon touchdown, the Sean Green touchdown, and Rex running into the end zone. I
think we're gonna have the same answer.
It's really hard.
I'm like mine 120%.
I'm going with the Cotchery catch and run because the game was getting away from them. It was 3rd down, and that did not have to be the play it was, right? That could have been a 10 or 15-yard catch, and he turned it into, I think it was like a 40 or 50-yard catch. That was the drive that Holmes scored the touchdown. It got them back up by double digits. That, if they don't get that first down, I think the Patriots win the game in the first quarter. And in the fourth quarter, now you can make the counter argument the Jets lose by 70 if Harrison has that pick. But that Cotchery play was so emblematic of his career because it was a 3rd down. He added an extra 30 or 40 yards and like stays in bounds, like an extra 8 yards at the end, like incredible footwork. And it's not at the top of everyone's list for the highlights from the game. It's the Holmes touchdown. It's the Braylon touchdown. It's the Harris interception. And if Cotchery doesn't make that play, I don't think the Jets win. And I'll never and no one's pro more Mike Tannenbaum than me, will never forgive him for swapping Kotri off that team. It was the beginning of the end, and I don't have to rehash that again. That's my answer. It's like pro Kotri guy.
100%. It's the Kotri play all the way. And the reason why I think is, well, there's a couple things. One, that third quarter ends with Brady doing what he's done his entire life. He throws a touchdown, and on a play where he had so much time, and you just feel the doom coming. And then they go for two. They run a perfect play call. They run this at a shotgun, New England. It's like the direct snap that they kind of fake to Brady, and the direct snap, the back plunges right in. So now it's 14-11 with the third quarter's ending. And as a Jet fan against Tom Brady, you just kind of feel the doom coming. It's as I'm sure any New York sports fan listening to this can relate. As a Jets fan, you've lived it a million times. As a Mets fan, you've lived it a million times. Even over the last 10 years, the Yankee fan has kind of had that like playoff feeling of like, God, we just can't get over the hump. I mean, the Knicks has been a little different recently, but it took them a long time to even get into those moments. But definitely the Jet fan knows that bad feeling that sits in your stomach of we don't ever win these games. We don't ever come out on top in this scenario. And on a 2nd and 6, and this is so emblematic of the Jets, they had run 22 run plays and 22 pass plays at the time of this play.
Shoddy.
On a 2nd and 6, they're on their own 28, 29 yard line at a shotgun. Sanchez drops back and just hits Kotri over the middle of the field. And there's just so much space. He made one guy miss, and everybody else kind of froze, and he runs up the sideline, and he got a really good block from Dustin Keller down the field as well. Dustin Keller dumped somebody, but it was just shocking. You blinked, and you're like, the Jets are inside the 10-yard line.
Yep.
After it was that 2nd and 6, typically goes, incompletion or thrown short of the sticks, and they're stopped on 3rd. They punt. Brady goes down the field. And now it's, 18-14, and we're playing from behind on the road with a young quarterback. This is a disaster. And just like that, the Jets controlled the game. And the Jets' biggest issue among so many for this playoff drought is the Jets never control the game. You're sitting there every single week as a Jet fan for over 10 years, and you're going, how do we dig out of this? How do we come back from this? And in football, it's so hard to do that when you don't have a great quarterback. And the Jets haven't. They haven't had a great quarterback, so they can rarely ever dig out of those spots. So I think it's the Kotri play. I just sat there in disbelief that it actually happened. I really did, because to me it was, they are trying to, and this was really Rex for those 2 years. The Jets played to win. And I know it's a stupid cliche, but it's the anti-Robert Saleh 1st to 20 or whatever he said. The Rex Jets those 2 years, as much as they played defense and controlled the clock with the run, when it was, get down to business time in the playoffs, the Jets in that scenario played to win.
J-Co, man. Always clutch and always killed the Patriots. That's why we love them. All right, a more current one from Christian. Also, sorry, that last question was from Michael Sen. If Brees were to have 1,500 total yards in 2025 and they tagged him, what would you put the percentage chance at that he's traded, extended, or plays out the tag? So effectively, Brees has a good year. He runs for 1,000 yards, has 500 yards receiving, let's say 7 or 8 touchdowns. The Jets have this great run game, and he's the centerpiece of it along with Fields. They do the prudent thing, which would be to franchise him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get extended. I don't think he'll get another contract here. I just think there's going to be too many other guys to pay. Once you get past Sauce Garrett, you're talking about Jermaine, Will McDonald, Simpson, AVT. I don't see it happening for Brees, and I like Brees, but you don't pay running backs that second contract unless it's kind of an anomaly situation, especially when you have Allen and Davis behind him on the roster. Now, look, if Brees has 1,900 yards next year, maybe I feel different. Maybe I change my mind, but that's just kind of how I sit right now. I think it's likely he's tagged, maybe plays one more year under the tag, and then they go their separate ways. And I think if you're the Jets, that's kind of like what you want. Like, you maxed out what you got from Brees. You got 5 years from him, and he helps you transition and sort of into the next era. I just don't know feasibly how you're giving him any type of meaningful contract when you have all these other dudes to pay.
That's it. I just don't see them unless they wanted to pay out 2 tags. That's the only way. Aaron Jones did this a couple years ago with the Packers. Instead of playing out on the tag, the Packers basically gave him an extension that looked like paying out 2 tags. And if you're the team, you get the short-term deal that you'd love to have for a star running back. If you're the player, you get a second year of guarantees. And in a world where a helmet could blow up your knee at any given moment, you take the second year of life-changing money. Sometimes. Some guys don't. Sometimes, though. And for Breece, who's had a lot of injuries, unfortunately, that might be a good idea if the Jets even offered it. I'm not convinced they would. So, yeah, that is why getting some of these extensions done now, it would be a comfort feeling.
Yes.
Because, of course, Garrett and Sauce have the 5th-year options, which does change the dynamic a little bit of this, but you don't want to be playing this down to the wire. You would really, really like to keep that franchise tag in your pocket for a situation where the market makes sense for it, and Breece is that exact player. It's you don't know if Breece is going to be able to replicate a career season, but you don't want to lose him because you'd rather he'll be a focal point of the offense. You'd rather not add a need onto the board, especially at running back, where it's just an annoyance to have to go into a draft and have to get a starting running back. So, but if you have Garrett and Sauce done, and then you could tag Breece if you have to, well, you can get down to business with some other guys and figure that out as well. So, yeah, I'm with you all the way. I think ultimately, Breece has a solid year, and I think to kind of avoid it'd be really disappointing to just let Breece walk in free agency because he won't factor enough into the comp pick formula. The running backs just don't get paid like that. So the math of it, the analytical side of it is that he's more valuable to the Jets than just letting him walk for nothing.
Yeah, don't get nothing for your assets. And I'm rooting for Breece. I think Breece is going to be a big part of what the Jets do. I hope he's here for 2 more years. Maybe they find a way to make it 3 more years.
It's crazy we're saying that already.
I know.
It?
I mean, those 3 years rip by. When you're living with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, that's time flies when you're not having fun. This one from Jay Webb. Over the last 10 seasons, is the Henry Ruggs Hail Mary the most exciting moment in a Jets game? If you're not going to count the 2015 season, then we could have a conversation. 2015 had a lot of very exciting moments. The Anua catch and run in overtime against the Pats, the Decker game-winning catch against the Pats, Brandon Marshall beating the Giants. There was a lot. Revis had some interceptions early in the year. That was fun. Let's put that season aside because it was an anomaly. Other exciting moments.
I mean, the Jets beating the Steelers with Zach Wilson returning.
It was a fun win.
I know you look at it differently now, but that's not the question.
Yeah,
like
exciting moment.
How exciting were you in the moment when the Jets beat the Steelers and Zach Wilson got hurt that summer and came back? You started to think like, are we going to start winning games?
Yep.
Because we look like a football team finally. Remember when they absolutely embarrassed Green Bay in Lambeau and Sauce is wearing the cheese head?
That Breece run where it was like, whew. That was like the best, just untouched, basically.
I think the Breece run, and I love the still of him with every Packer defender on the screen, and it's just him, and they're all chasing him. That play, I think that play is way more exciting than the Ruggs play. I thought that the Jets had talent on the field then.
Yeah.
And there was a long time the Jets didn't have talent on the field. How about Garrett's one-handed catch against the Texans? I know there's kind of a dark cloud over a lot of Rodgers moments, but that catch
is special. One of the best catches you'll ever see.
It's one of the best catches you'll ever see in a Jets uniform.
Great T-shirt made from it.
Great T-shirt.
Xavier Gibson punt return of the moment.
Yep.
It was a good temporary numbing of what happened. I was in the building.
Yes.
The building went insane when that happened. It was very fun, and that was an electric environment that night in spite of what happened. There's a couple other little ones in there. You got to remember the hopes for Sam Darnold when the Jets traded up for him. So Darnold comes out on Monday Night Football against the Lions, throws a pick six in the first play. Then he comes back and hits Robbie Anderson for like a 40-yard touchdown. That was really exciting. And then the Jets had they won 58-10. They
killed the Lions.
They had a pick six from Darren Lee. They had Andre Roberts return a kick for a touchdown. Isaiah Crowell had a 62-yard touchdown run. That game was very exciting in the moment. You're like, holy shit, are we going to be good this year? We scored 60 points on primetime against the
Week
Lions.
Week 1 lies a lot.
Yes, that's such a fun anomaly game if you go back and look at it.
Didn't Stephen Hill have a 2-touchdown Week 1 game?
Yeah.
Week one is the biggest liar in sports.
Half of his career touchdowns in that game. It's like you could even see on his touchdown from Sanchez how bad his form was. He the ball was at his waist and he jumped up and caught it and fell into the end zone. Yeah.
We should have known.
I think Curly had 2 touchdowns that game too. That was another game. They won 42-10. That's after the Tebow trade, and man, interesting. But yeah, I mean, look, in the moment, and it's funny they ended up with Justin Fields now when it's all said and done, and with how Lawrence's career has played out. But that season was such a weird, in retrospect, everything about that year was so sad and shitty. That Fail Mary was it's not even technically the Fail Mary. Tim Boyle's the Fail Mary. Was a hallmark exciting moment. And then to just ultimately then beat the Rams when they had no business beating the Rams, thanks to Frank Gore getting enough yards and then retiring immediately because he was just here to get the stats. Holy shit, man. That was dark. That was darker than some of the stuff we dealt with the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's weird because I think why people struggle with this question is they evaluate it of how they look at it now. And you really need to look at it how you actually felt in that moment. It's